Girl, can we talk? Yeah. I love the way you whine, girl. I love the way you walk.
All right. Let's chat about it. Belize. This is your boy Pedro, aka Drosky, coming straight out of LA. Your Belizean first generation born. Uh, just trying to bring some content to you for my Belizeans, just so we can build a community, talk about it, and just see if some of you had the same experience I had growing up, and see if we get that conversation going. First off, the one question I have for my first generation born in America Belizeans. How was your experience acclimating into American culture? How did it feel like, being Belizean, growing up in elementary school, junior high, high school in America, and just acclimating with American culture? Like, whatever American culture is, but like, for me, I know it was different. It was like, I didn't really know who to fit in with and who was really like, my people, like, basically, until I met more Belizeans and stuff. But like how was it acclimating to American culture? Because it's so different than Belizean culture, which you're raised up, especially with your parents coming straight from Belize. It's not like my parents, you know, were basically immigrants. They were immigrants, so they were Belizeans living here. They weren't born in America. So I'm born into America. I'm one of five siblings. I'm the youngest of the five, but you know, I grew up in America, born and raised in America, but I'm Belizean, raised in Belizean culture, fried jack, panades. You talk about it, I'm raised in it. So I'm just wondering how some people's experience were growing up in America as a first generation Belizean, like, because sometimes, those Belizeans that were born in Belize and the Belizeans that were born in America see things totally different. So I'm just wondering what your experience was like. And LA has its own culture. So I'm just wondering from both sides how that, went, because, even people in like New York or Florida may be different compared to what my culture was like in just LA, because LA has its own culture. Like, you know, we have gang banging out here, and you go to other cities, it's not the same. So it's just like, how was that like maneuvering around different, you know, different aspects as a Belizean? That's one question. Another question that I have is, what do you identify as? What do you identify as a Belizean? Like, do you identify as black? Do you identify as Hispanic? Do you tell people that you're Belizean? Like, when people ask you, like, what are you? Where are you from? What do you say? Because when I was growing up, like, when somebody would ask me, like, yo, what are you? I'd be like, I'm Belizean. They're like, well, are you black? Are you man? Like, I'm Belizean, and I said that a lot of times, like, not, but like, when I grew up, I think I gravitated more to kicking it with the Black Americans, than anybody else do. So that's what when I tell people, I'm like, I'm black, like, that's what it is. Um, Not to say that, but like, Spanish culture kind of shunned me because I couldn't speak Spanish. And like, we don't, not a lot of people that speak Spanish in Belize. Like, you have it everywhere, but everybody knows the main language is kind of is Creole, so broken English. So we're the only English speaking country in Central America, and then it's like, I found myself a lot of the times just with like and black, everybody was like, "Bro," like even if it's like you're black, you are black, like, but like I know that could be confusing for a lot of, especially first generation Belizeans, because we come when you're Belizean, you come in all colors, light skin, brown skin, you look Spanish, you look black, you have the Garifuna culture, you have the Creole culture, you have the Spanish culture out there, you have a little bit the Indian culture, you have a little bit of everything in Belize. So I was just used to saying I'm Belizean, but like in America, they want more specifics. And then I think a lot of people that are out here, not just Belizeans, but like of the Caribbean culture, kind of could relate to that because even like Trinidad, Jamaica, like you just have all of these different looks. But at the end of the day, I think I found out that, you know, you're treated as black no matter what, uh, no matter what you want to say you are. Like when you're in America, you're black. You're black. Like that's what you are because like I dealing with police and dealing with different things, they only see one thing when they see you. I don't you could play all whatever you want, but that's what you are. But I just want to know how other people identify that are like Belizeans. How do you identify in America? Like, what do you say you are? How do you feel inside? How do you communicate? How are you treated when you say certain things? Because a lot of people will be like, "Bro, your name is Pedro. You Spanish, but I don't fit in with the Mexicans. I don't fit in with the Salvadorians out here. Like, it just that's not my culture. When it comes to it's either black culture or Caribbean culture that is my my niche where I fit in best, where I acclimate best, and how I look at it is I look at it as I'm black and Hispanic. A little bit, I have that mind. I can't help. My dad is Spanish as hell, but my mom is black, so that's where I identify. It's still kind of confusing, still trying to navigate it, but I do want to see like how other people navigate and identify as in that what's it called? Maybe you could get a little deeper because, like I said, as I go further with this pod and or whatever it's called, like just me trying to figure things out. I want to ask people and get answers from people and kind of expound on how you feel really and what you think and that because I feel like a lot of Belizeans have a lot of different answers, but I think when we kind of dive in, we'll kind of get to a common place. Like there's a common place that we all think, and that's just I have a feeling like when you get deeper and deeper and deeper into the conversation of identifying, I think there's a commonality at the center of all of it. But I just want to see it from everybody else first before I kind of say what I think that commonality is. But let's just see what people's answers and stuff like that is. And hopefully, drop it in the comments what you think. Um, and even hit me up in the DMs and let me know what you think about that. Okay. Question, another question here. How were you treated in America as a Belizean? Like, how did people treat you? How did the communities treat you? How did you feel like growing up? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Belizean community is getting bigger and bigger and more like in touch with each other. It's a lot more of us. But when I was growing up I was born in '87, so kind of growing up in the early '90s. Uh, you didn't know all of the Belizeans like that. We were a little more spread out, a little kind of find out, oh, you Belizean, I'm Belizean too. Like, but how did people treat you like as you're growing up in America? Probably kind of on your in your own culture, not knowing a lot of people like that. Besides, probably whoever of your family is out here at that time. Like, how did people outside of your culture treat you and act towards you? Going to like, I've never been like kind of disrespected or anything like that. I mean, I've been called some crazy names that uh like I had to like adjust like wait what that's like, but it was just how people see me. But I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But for the most part, I wasn't treated. I've kind of been able to blend in and kind of acclimate with everybody, but again, I'm on the fairer skin of of Belizean, so like you come in so many different colors. Like you have your dark skin, you have your brown. I wonder if that's different and how you treat it, and like how many different layers of treatment does it come. Like I wonder if sometimes if I'm treated the same way as some of my other cousins, because like I said, we come in different shades. We come in with different attitudes, temperaments, and Belizeans have a different vibe. More like we're all kind of pretty much kind of like this upbeat partying type of culture. Like we like to drink, dance, and we're outside a lot. So I wonder, like, how do people see you? How do people treat you? We're kind of blunt too as a culture. Like we're very, very, very blunt. So it's like, how do people take in your energy that you get from your family and your culture? Because when Belizeans get together, it's loud. It's a lot of conversation. It gets really kind of like we have our own energy to say. Like I wonder, like, how were you treated in the different aspects of growing up in America? And I wonder if it's the same everywhere, because in LA has its own energy, and so I wonder like how people in like New York or Florida or Texas, Chicago. I know that's a lot of the areas where it's a lot of Belizean community. So I kind of want to hear from you guys too. Like, how is it in how is it in New York per se? Because that has such a big, big Caribbean culture. So I wonder how if the way you guys were treated out there in New York is the same as we are out here in LA, and then even like somewhere like Texas, like in Houston, there's a lot of Belizeans too, but they may be a little bit more spread out because Texas is such a big. I mean, Houston is such a big city, and everything can be like 30 minutes away here or 15 minutes away here. So I wonder, like, do you guys have a community? Are you guys together? How do people treat you? It's definitely a lot more white and black out there compared to like here in LA where it's a big Spanish culture, and then in New York you have like a lot of Afro Latinos, a lot of black, a lot of white, a lot of Hispanic, like a little bit of it's a melting pot. It's a lot of everything, which LA can be too. And I'm wondering like places like Florida, Texas, everywhere, like basically Chicago. I know Chicago has a big Belizean community, so I wonder like how were you guys treated, and how is like how was the energy? How did you feel growing up? Did you feel like an outsider? Did you feel accepted? Did you have a good community of friends from different places? Did you have other Caribbean friends? Did you grow up kind of more around white people? Did you grow up around black? Did you grow up around Hispanic? Like what energy did you take on, and how did that make you feel about your own identity? So just kind of wondering how the treatment was and stuff like that. Next questions. What's some of the stuff that you guys did that kind of made you stand out? Like, what kind of Belizean culture things made you stand out here in America? Like, where people are like, he ain't, he ain't like us, kind of, or she ain't like us like that. Like, something is different about it. Like, she ain't this, she ain't that. And where it was kind of like, oh, they can tell I'm something different. I'm a Belizean. Like I had my cousin's cousin told me one time that he was going to the YMCA for like the summer camp or whatever, and his mom sent him with black dinner to eat for lunch, and he's like, kids is looking at him like, what the hell is that? He got this big black soup with tortillas, and he got to warm it up in the microwave at summer camp, and everybody else, come with their lunch bill with like a sandwich and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny. So I figured I want to see if anybody else is somewhere. People was like, yo, what is that? Like, who is like, and you have to kind of explain, like, oh, in Belize, this is what we eat. This is like, if I like, when I would tell people, like, yeah, we eat like pigtail and stuff like, it's usually food that kind of like, people are like, huh? Like, my mom had the whole block neighborhood, like the elementary school, everybody eating panadas. Like they would come and buy panadas from my mom all the time. So that kind of stood out. People would be like, and they would always get it wrong. They'd be like, "Oh, I want to get some of them Belizean empanada things, or I want to get them little fried things that they have with the," and it would be like having to explain just panada, like always. And that's a question for you guys too. Like, how many times have you had to correct someone on the pronunciation of a Belizean dish? Like, I swear I had to all the time. Anytime one of my American friends got panadas, besides my best friend, he had it. He like another Belizean, but a lot of my friends and a lot of the people would be like, "Man, let me get some. What's up with them empanadas? They always call it empanadas. Is the panada? Like, no, it's panadas. They always get it wrong." So I wonder, like, what's some of the things that stood out that should like people were like, "Oh yeah, they ain't from they something different. They ain't this. They ain't that. They something different." You had to kind of explain like, "Well, this is comes from my culture, and this is like stuff that we do in our culture that kind of stand out." So I'd love to see what like is especially around everybody because it's so different. It's different than what people acclimate. Like I had a friend that was married to a Belizean, and she would always tell me like, "Oh yeah," she was like, "Yeah, I love Hadut, Hadut." I had never had Hadut before. I still haven't had Hadut before, and I've been to Hopkins a couple of times. So I definitely next time I go, that's something I want to try out. That's one of the biggest dishes out there on that side of Belize, and I've never had it. I'm a big Sere guy, but never had Hadut. So it was like kind of like what people take and stood out to them. I was like, I wonder what kind of like put you on the front seat where people was like, what's that? Like, where does that come from? Kind of situation. But kind of let me know in the comments what's some things that kind of stood out that you guys had to kind of explain. All right, guys. Next question is how is the Belizean population in your city? Like, even here in LA, it could be totally different. Like in LA City, like South Central, East Side, West Side, whatever, it's a lot of Belizeans. But when you go to somewhere like kind of out of LA County, like or like Arcadia, where I work at, or somewhere in these different areas, they may not even know what Belizeans are. They're like, "What are you like?" Still like, "What is that? Where is that?" Like, so I'm just wondering, like, in your different cities, what is the Belizean culture, Belizean population? Like, how many Belizeans do you see? What's like Belizean activities out there? Like, do you even know where to find other Belizeans in your city? Like, what does it feel like? Like out here, it's in LA now as I've gotten a little older, gotten to know some of my friends and stuff that are Belizean. There's a lot of us in LA, a good amount. But once you kind of dip out of the inner city, it's kind of like it gets scarce. But I know we're starting to migrate to a lot of different places. But I'm wondering, like in the city you're in, what's the population looking like? How many of you guys is it? What's the like communication like? What's the community like? And stuff like that. Uh, Another question for my American-born Belizeans: have you been back to Belize? Have you went? Have you traveled? What's your favorite place to go? How many times have you been? Is it somewhere you go regularly? Have you been like one time and that was like it for you? Do you still communicate with your family out there? Um, yeah, like why haven't you went? Like, is it like you don't have the funds, you don't have a passport? Um, what do you like? What do you feel? I feel like Belize is still one of those more uh not so expensive countries to visit. Like get your plane ticket, it's not too bad, and then when you get out there, your money's doubled. Everything's fairly. Last time I went was still pretty cheap. Besides gas, y'all, gas is expensive in Belize. It's super expensive out there. But besides that, like to drink, to eat, to it's it's pretty good. Service out there is usually really good. I mean, um, and very appreciative of like when you American culture we tip when you go out there and you tip them Belizeans be super happy, like for what they're getting and the business they're getting. So I think it's if you haven't been, you need to go. I was one of those people who used to judge like because I've been traveling back to Belize since I was 3 years old. Like my dad and mom would take me on all their trips. So from I was three, I've been going to Belize. So I have a good knowledge of like a lot of different areas of Belize. There's still a lot of places out there that I still want to hit that I haven't hit yet, but for the main parts, there's places I love to go. I've been, so I'm going again in 2027 for my 40th birthday. Gonna have a big bash for that. But I'm wondering, like, why haven't you gone? Why I used to be so judgy, like, why you ain't been to Belize? How you ain't been to Belize and stuff? Where I was like, now I'm at that place where like, well, okay, you could roll with me. When I go, come, I'll show you around. You gotta be there. It's like such an experience to just dive into your culture and see all your people having a good time. So many festivals and so much stuff to do out there. It's if you like mangoes, bleh, best mangoes in the world. But and there's so many of them, so many different types out in Belize. But yeah, gotta go and just stop finding reasons not to go and just make it happen. Even if your funds are limited, just kind of go enjoy it. It's definitely worth it. The experience is crazy. It's one like no other. Even when in 2019 when I took all my friends out there and they had a blast. We had a good time, and it felt really good to me to show my culture to all my American friends and like, look, let's do this. Let's have a fun time. Let's get drunk. It's cheap. Let's just party. Like, that's how we do. Um, so yeah, have you been back? Why haven't you been back? Hit it in the comments. Like, are you going back? When's the next time you're going to be there? What's some of your favorite places to go there? And what's some of the activities you did there that was fun? Like, I did this last time I went zip lining, cave tubing. Um, Thanks to Marcel and setting all of that up for me. But um, we did a lot of activities. We went to the ruins. I know my favorite one to go to is St. Antonich because it's like the biggest one. I think it's the biggest Mayan ruins we have out there. So much culture, and then when you go to the top of the ruins, you can look down at Guatemala from Belize, and it's just like it's so much. It's so much knowledge, and it's an intense experience and such a fun time. So I I definitely encourage all of my American-born Belizeans to make sure you touch down at some time in Belize and just go enjoy the culture. And even if you don't have a lot of family out there, it's just so much tour. Belize is so wrapped in tourism. Just if you do the touristy things are fun and not expensive out there, so you can get into so many tourism type of things you can do. But if you know somebody out there who's from there, like the local uh, tourist guys, like I got my cousin Randy out there, or like they can show you some things like that regular tourists don't get to see. Like Belize has so many hidden gems, so many like waterfalls, swimming with the sharks, second largest barrier reef. Let's talk about it. Let's chat about it. Everything that they have out there, is worth the experience. It's a beautiful place to go travel to, but especially if you're Belizean, just to be engulfed in your culture, I think you should at least see it once. I mean, I can't get enough of it. I try to go every year if I could, but sometimes funds is a little tight. But yeah, if you got a chance, get out there. And I have another question for all my American-born Belizeans. Have you been called a Yankee? And how does that make you feel if you had? And why do you think you haven't? And where do you think that stems from? I've been called it. I haven't been called it. I'm not really bothered by it because I'm so engulfed in the culture anyway. I love my people. I love every Belizean born, American born. When Belizeans get together, I feel like we always have a good time. It's all love. I mean, yeah, we're a talking shit type of culture. We go back and forth. We talk mess and everything, but it's just I feel like all in love. I feel like we get along whenever we get together. It's always a fun time. So I wonder how other people feel when they hear that word. Do they take it as disrespect? Do they take it as it just is what it is? I'm born out here. I'm not born out there? Like what's the vibe? What's the feeling behind that? How do we feel about that? Like what is the energy or the vibe you get when you're in you're in Belize. I mean, when you're being called a Yankee, how does that feel like? Or if you haven't been, how do you feel like be like, oh, they ain't never called me no Yankee boys or Yankee gal? Like, I ain't never been called that. That's you because you don't know that. Like, is it like, do you feel like it's because of your pronunciation? You don't speak Creole that well, or do you think just because you're born out here? Where do you think that stems from? Even my Belizeans in Belize, why do you call people like what what entitles that type of response? So let me know, like, how where that comes from, how you feel, and yeah, I'd love to know that. Another question: how do we get closer as a community in our city as Belizeans? Like, how do we get more together to just always partying? Like, what? How do we support each other? How do we build that community? How do we hang out more? How do we do more things together? How do we put money into our community? How do we circle that money? How do we love each other and put that vibe into our communities in these different cities? I've seen on Instagram, I follow like this New York Belize market, or I forget, it's like New York's Belize market or something. I gotta go back and look at it, but it seems like they do all of these things in New York as Belizeans that it look like it'd be popping and it'd be fun, and you have your Belize businesses there, like clothing, food, whatever you're selling, hot sauce, whatever it may be. They all get together, they support each other, they party, they bartend, you have your promoters, you have everything, they all get together, and it feels like one community. I would love to see. I mean, we have our things in LA, but I remember when we used to go to Hollywood Park, it used to feel like we was super super tight. I feel like ever since the Hollywood Park celebrations and stuff stopped, it kind of felt a little spread out. And maybe me, I'm not outside as much, but where do we, how do we build our community? How do we get together? How do we support each other? How do we give back too to the country and get out there, like maybe group trips and all in the community, all the Belizeans, like we going out there same time, we celebrating. It don't always have to be in September, just for different things. Like, how do we get together and figure out, like, all right, let's all do this? How do we pour into our people? How do we build our people? How do we build our communities, build our you know whether it be education, anything, like how do we build into the school systems or athletic programs, whatever, that support our Belizeans. I be seeing the Belizean volleyball team, the women's volleyball team in Belize. I've seen that like blow up over the last couple of years, and I see they be balling. So I was like, how did that happen? Like, how did like they start getting so much shine on them? I've been seeing like Belize, Miss Universe, and the pageants blowing up a lot lately. I remember a long time ago when I went. I think that was super long ago. I'm not gonna give my age out here. I'm older. Well, I think I already did, but old as hell. But I remember when I went to like to see some of the they had like the Belizean Miss Babe, I forgot what it's called, but they had that pageant out there, and that was like super dope. Now I'm seeing a lot of the pageants get a lot of love on social media, and it's being like retweeted and reposted. But like, how do we build on that? How do we keep going and getting a lot of this Belizean stuff out there and see what's going on, so we can all support, all go out there, all do our thing together, and I just like throw our flags up and just have that fun, moment. Like, uh, I don't know I haven't been to Belize in September in a long time. So I wonder if the carnival is still popping, if it's still going. But like, yeah, how do we get the community together in all our different cities and just build up this thing where it's like Belize is like popping with our own, like we're pouring into each other and like I said, loving on each other and growing. Like that's a question. Like, how do we build our community? How do we become more supportive of each other? And it doesn't just have to always be like the club and the party, but like just in everything. I think when we're outside is actually when we're a bit like outside open areas, picnic, like a Belizean picnic or something like that. Like, how do we get to that point, just I'll end with this question here. How does it make you feel to be a Belizean? Like Belizean American, but to have that Belizean in your identity. How do you feel? How does that make you feel? Like for me, I'm super proud. I love it. I love having that culture. You know, a lot of people out here call me like my American friends would be like Belizean Dro or Belize. That's how I was called for a long time. That was my nickname, Belizean Dro. Like, oh, that's Belizean Dro. I remember I went to my friend from Trinidad. He took me to his homegirl party and she was Belizean. She was like, oh, I know you is you Belizean Dro. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. Like people here like because I always want to represent the my people well, my culture well, and I always put it on blast and I'm always like, let's go to this, let's do this. And it's always cultural stuff. I always take my friends to see how we move and I'm like, how does it feel for you to be a Belizean? Do you feel proud? Do you feel like I don't like the way we've been moving. Like, what do you think? What do you think we can improve on? And what do you think we do so well? Like, how do you feel? Let me know. Get in the comments, get in my DMs. Let's Let's see how we all feel and what we can do to uplift and empower each other. On that note, I'm out of here. Watch the full video on YouTube, comment, like, repost, do all of that stuff. I love y'all, my Belizean people, and let's continue to chat about it. I'll be back.